Meghan Markle was disgusted by the words coming out of her mouth. I want to talk all about this, but before we begin, here's the intro. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. In this video, I want to take a closer look at a subtle but fascinating moment from the most recent interview that Meghan gave. Specifically, this is a moment where she's talking about Serena Williams. At first glance, it might seem like a compliment, but when you watch Meghan's facial expression, it is completely off. So the first thing I'm going to do is play the whole clip. Here it is.
She's doing so well. She's doing so well. Talk about successful entrepreneur, by the way. Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's doing so well. She's doing so well.
And you can see Meghan says something positive about Serena. She's doing so well, but she's absolutely disgusted with the words. Her mouth tenses, it curls slightly. There's a visible drop in emotional congruence. The compliment is still there in the words, but her face and also the way she's shaking her head betrays a conflicting emotion. And to me, it signals envy and resentment. What we're actually looking at here is a microexpression. Microexpressions are brief, involuntary facial expressions that occur within a fraction of a second, typically 1/25th or 1/15th of a second, and they often reveal a person's true emotional state before they have time to consciously control it. They're studied extensively in psychology, forensic analysis, and behavioral science because they provide insight into moments where someone's internal reaction doesn't match what they're saying out loud. In Meghan's case, this moment, I think, can be interpreted as a microexpression of contempt, envy, and resentment. And it's not about Serena. She could be talking about any other person who is successful. Having to compliment, having to discuss someone else's success is disgusting to her. What Meghan is envious of here is Serena Williams' success. She's globally admired, highly accomplished, and often framed as a model of excellence and power. In that context, offering her a compliment could feel threatening to someone who sees themselves as needing to be the center of attention or admiration. And another layer that's added here is that the woman interviewing Meghan is the one that started with the Serena compliment. So Meghan might even feel she was backed into a corner to have to say something nice about Serena. If this were a one-off moment, we could chalk it up to a bad camera angle or awkward timing, but this happens with Meghan all the time. In interviews, documentaries, public appearances, there is a pattern where Meghan's compliments towards other people, particularly women, come with difficulty. Often, the praise is quickly followed by a story that recenters her or reframes the narrative back to Meghan's experience. This type of competition that Meghan believes is subtle but is very loud to people that notice is common in people who feel that they need to curate their image very carefully, especially in public-facing roles where vulnerability may be perceived as weakness. I've mentioned before that I believe Meghan Markle is a malignant narcissist. I say that because she is almost exactly like my stepmom, who is a malignant narcissist. And narcissists, especially those with malignant traits, they aren't wired for collaboration. They're wired for competition. At their core, they operate from a zero-sum mindset. If you're winning, then comparatively, they must be losing. Some key traits of malignant narcissists as competitors include envy as a default reaction. This is not an occasional emotion. If someone else is thriving, they feel personally diminished. They don't admire, they compare. Praise is often a performance, not a genuine sentiment. They see relationships as power structures, not partnerships. The goal is to maintain superiority. Success in others triggers a threat response, especially if it challenges their self-image. They avoid true collaboration because that requires vulnerability, trust, and shared recognition, all things that feel unsafe or intolerable to the narcissistic ego. Compliments come with an asterisk. If they offer praise, it's often backhanded, self serving, or laced with tension. Going back to this competitor versus collaborator mindset, Megan is just not wired to work in a team environment. She was ill equipped to be a working royal. In a monarchy, there is a hierarchy. That's the definition. There's someone at the top. And if Megan is not at the top, she wants to break it all down. So, what happens here, and I think specifically with Megan, is that when she sees someone else, especially another woman, outshining them, she cannot celebrate it. She can only compete with it. So, what is the emotional cost of this narcissistic competition? When someone in your life operates this way, it can be deeply confusing. You might sense subtle tension every time something good happens to you. You might feel like you have to downplay your wins in order to keep the peace. Or you may notice that their compliments feel hollow, performative, and even forced. This isn't just uncomfortable, it's a form of emotional erosion. Over time, it chips away at your confidence, your ability to share joy, and your sense of psychological safety in relationships. When you start seeing these signs, backhanded compliments, the inability to celebrate others, the envy that's masked as praise, it becomes easier to stop taking it personally. And that's why I was saying this was not about Serena. She could have been talking about anybody in a successful light and she would be revolted. So it truly isn't personal. And when you recognize the behavior for what it is, it's a reflection of their inner world and not a measure of your worth. What I'd like to do now is give you a couple of tips for protecting yourself from narcissistic envy and competition. The first is stop explaining your success. You don't owe an insecure person a breakdown of how or why things are going well for you. If someone reacts with jealousy or detachment when you share a win, share less with this person. And also replace I got lucky with thanks, I'm proud of it. Because we seem to minimize our successes in front of people like this. The second is validate yourself first. Malignant narcissists rarely give sincere praise. Don't chase their approval. Build your own inner voice that recognizes your efforts and celebrates your growth, regardless of who is applauding. Try this affirmation: I don't need their approval for me to feel worthy. The third tip I have for you is don't engage in subtle competition. You don't need to prove anything to these people. Competing silently with a narcissist only feeds the dynamic. Instead, step back and observe without reacting. Focus on alignment and not comparison. The fourth is expect the undermining and don't internalize it. If they minimize your wins or forget to congratulate you, it's not a mistake, it's a strategy. Expect it and don't take it as a reflection of your value. It's this type of pattern recognition that will help you detach emotionally. And finally, surround yourself with true collaborators. Energy is contagious. Find people who light up when you win. That's how you recalibrate your baseline for healthy relationships. Authentic friendships don't feel like an audition. If you enjoyed this video and you're looking for a meaningful way to support something beyond the screen, I'd love for you to consider making a donation to the National Domestic Violence Hotline in lieu of super chats and super stickers. They provide 24/7 support and resources for people in unsafe or overwhelming situations, whether that's emotional, physical, or just hard to name. Their information is on the screen should you need to contact them, and you'll find a link to donate in the description. Every little bit helps and it means a lot. If this video was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. I want to thank you so much for listening and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.